Welcome back to another live stream. It is Saturday, April 26th, 2025. I started a minute early, or a few seconds early. So, I tested something today, which I've been wanting to test for a while, which is calling in by phone. So I've had a web link that you can just click on in the chat if anyone wants to call in by Zoom, but there's also a phone number you can call, and I also put that in the chat. So that's new. If anyone, for some reason, doesn't have access to the web link, there's another way to call in through this phone number. And I'll just read that out for anyone who is only listening and maybe is not watching. So the number is 669-444-9171. And that's a US number, I believe. So I guess if you're in a different country, you might have to put in the country code for the US, which is 1, unless that's changed. As far as I know, the country code for the US is 1. And then you put that number in 669-444-9171. And then after that, you will be prompted to enter a meeting ID. That's for the specific Zoom meeting that I'm in. And that number is 835-441-30096, followed by the pound sign. And I think you'll be prompted a second time for the pound sign. I guess there's some further security code that you, you could, that I could have people enter, but the way it's set up right now, there's no further security code. So um, you can just hit the pound sign again. And then I think that will be the last step you need to do to get in the Zoom waiting room. And then I'll take your call. Um, okay, so that is what's new on the technical front. I tested it out just before this on my own phone and got it to work. So feel free to call in on that phone number if you want, or just click the web link as usual. All right, so since the last live stream a few days ago, I have been reading a lot as usual. This time, I've been focused on a couple main things: Israel and January 6th. Israel, you might have heard that I've been reading about that in the last few live streams because that's come up in some discussion with people in the chat. Um, January 6th, that hasn't come up so much recently in the chat, but it did come up in a forum, Harry Binswanger's forum, which maybe some of you are on, but I've been on that for many years, and there were some posts on that recently about January 6th, and some of the things in that post got me thinking, or they made me want to research some things about January 6th. So I did that. Those are the main things I've been reading about recently. I guess I could tell you some about, go into some more details about that. Um, but priority will be given to chat messages I see. So if you want to discuss a certain topic or hear me discuss a certain topic, feel free to raise it in the chat or call in, and then we'll focus on that. But until that gets started, I could tell you some more about what I have been reading. There was one person who left a comment on my last video asking what time the stream is, and I told him that the time varies, but usually it's roughly 1 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And today I started a bit earlier than that, but maybe that person will show up later. Not sure if he wants to call in. But in any case, if you are subscribed, you can get and click that bell for notifications. You can get an exact notification of when I go live. But I like to have a little flexibility. Um, so I don't, so I'm not committed to an exact time every single live stream, but usually it's roughly around this time. All right. What I've been reading about, I guess I'll talk about January 6th first, maybe Israel later, because January 6th has been more on my mind recently. That's the last thing I was reading about. So someone had made a post on Harry Benslinger's forum and made the claim that it wasn't really true, that Trump waited hours until he told the protesters to stop the violence and go home. And when I first read that, it didn't seem right to me because I remembered hearing that he did wait for a few hours before he took action in response to the rioters at the Capitol. So I wanted to look into this and see if I could. I hadn't really researched it much myself before. At the time of January 6th, I followed it a little bit, but not much. And years later, I read some articles about it, but it still wasn't following it in detail. Uh, so I wanted to learn more about it and see if my understanding was incorrect. Like maybe he didn't wait that long to do something, whereas I thought he did. So I did some research. Um, I see Ryan Lopez, you're here in the chat. Welcome, Ryan. Uh, you say, ah, well, super bad position years later. I guess the years later is referring to when I'm researching it. Um, so I've done a little bit here and there before recently, but I'm getting more into detail into it now, prompted by something that came up in Harry Benslinger's forum, as I mentioned, but also by what I said in this live stream. In a previous live stream, I discussed it a bit. It was, I think, the third live stream, and I discussed some of Trump's response to January 6th. Um, and I was thinking back to that and I actually re-listened to that to see what I said about it. I think I might say some things a bit differently now that I researched it more in terms of the exact timeline of what happened when. But in any case, let me share a bit about what I learned. Um, So Ryan says, what's the normal amount of time to do something? I I don't know. Maybe it varies from person to person and what's going on in their lives. If you're talking about the normal time to research something, um, oh, you say as president of a country. Oh, I see. I guess you mean what is the normal time for the president of a country to respond to something like January 6th? Well, this is unprecedented territory, so there haven't been many riots on the Capitol. So I don't know that there is a normal when it comes to something like this, but maybe abstracting away a bit, like if there's an attack on the Capitol, uh, that seems on the face of it something pretty urgent. Now, of course, if you want that attack to happen and you are uh, perhaps one of the people who was instigating the attack, then maybe you're not going to respond as quickly. Maybe you'll want to let it go on um, for a while before you do anything. But if you think the attack is unjustified, then I guess you want to do something quicker, um, as soon as possible, maybe. Uh, but if you are Trump and you want to encourage the attack, but also not seem like you're encouraging it, or at least not too much. If you want to give yourself some kind of plausible deniability, maybe you'll respond at some point, but maybe you'll delay a bit. You won't do it as fast as if you were opposed to the attack. So these are just some responses to these comments, some of the comments that have come in from Ryan here, trying to engage with chat a bit. Um, Ryan, let's see what else is. Ryan says, want to talk about Europe or even Russia? Well, I think, so the optics argument. Okay, so I don't want to jump around too much, so that's kind of disorienting. So let's at least for a little bit stay on this January 6th topic, and then maybe we can go to some other topics later. But thanks for joining the chat, Ryan. I appreciate the engagement. That's what I like to do here, engage with people in the chats or in a Zoom call. Um, so you are the first one. And actually, I don't know if I've seen you here before. So maybe you're a first time visitor to my channel or my live stream. Anyways, good to have some engagement early on. So let me continue, at least for a bit, about January 6th. So to get into some more details about what I was looking into, it was specifically the timing of Trump's tweets. So what this person on Harry Bensonger's list, I'll call it HBL for short, he said that um, Trump actually put out a tweet at around 2 p.m. asking the protesters to uh, not be violent and to go home. But I wasn't sure about that, and I wanted to verify that for myself, so I researched it, and I found a webpage which has a list of all of Trump's tweets on the day of January 6th. And what I found was that there were, so he gave a speech. The background was he gave a speech at the Ellipse, which is very close to the White House. Probably could walk from the White House to the Ellipse, which is like a park or grassy area, which you can walk to from the White House in probably just a few minutes, I think. And that's where he gave his speech at the Save America March. I think that was what it was called. Um, and that's he had called his supporters to show up there on the day that the election was going to be certified by Congress. They were going to count the votes and officially um, mark or officially register Joe Biden as having the votes necessary to become president. And this march was uh, going to protest that the certification of the votes. So Trump gave a speech at the Ellipse, and there were some other people who also gave speeches before Trump. But at I think around noon local time, East Coast time, Trump started his speech, and then it went on until 1:11 p.m. So he finished his speech at 1:11 p.m. And then, uh, based on what I read in the January 6th report, which was produced by the January 6th committee that was formed, I guess, shortly into Biden's administration, um, they eventually put out a report. And according to that report, which, there was a lot of investigations and research that went into it, what they said was that at 1:21 p.m. on January 6th, so 10 minutes after Trump ended his speech, he was notified that the Capitol was under attack. And then after that, after he was notified, he didn't put out a tweet uh, immediately, but I guess about, let's see, I can actually pull up the website I was looking at. Maybe that would be good to share on screen. Let me see if I can find that. It was at uh, the the University of California at Santa Barbara. They have a website called the American Presidency Project, and they keep documents there, or they document various things, including um, a list of Trump's tweets on the day of January 6th. Okay, I just found it. So let me see if I can share this window. Okay, share. Okay, all right. I think it should be showing up now. So there you have tweets of January 6th, 2021 from Trump. And I'm just checking something on my phone here. I want to make sure it's displaying. I want to see how it shows up here. Yeah, okay, good. All right, so he tweeted some before his speech. So here you can see the first tweet was actually it starts on January 5th. I guess because the times are UTC times. So I think that's like 7 hours ahead, or I'm not sure how many hours ahead. Well, East Coast, I guess it's 4 or 5 hours ahead. But so on January 6th of European time, I guess, or maybe this is Greenwich Mean Time in England. That's the first one that shows up. So there are some tweets. For 9 weeks, Democrats have been afraid to have a real debate on election integrity. Why? Uh, and then more tweets, uh, still from January 5th, local time, East Coast time. And then I guess, okay, so here's the first one. That's January 6th of East Coast time, a few minutes after midnight. Oh, hold on for just a second. Um, someone's knocking at my door. Okay, sorry for that interruption. Um, somebody was knocking at my door, and I wanted to quickly deal with that. So let me go back to the screen share. Uh, okay, this is the one. Okay, I think it's back now. So he was tweeting some uh, before his speech on January 6th, and I'm not going to go through all of those. Um, let me just scroll down to closer to the speech time. Okay, so okay, looks like this is the last tweet he made before his speech at 10:44 a.m. local time. He says, "These scoundrels are only toying with the," okay, someone's Twitter handle. Not sure who that guy is. David Perdue vote. Oh, I think that was someone running for office, maybe in Georgia. There was a Georgia race going on at the time, I think. Just didn't want to announce quite yet. They've got as many ballots as are necessary. Rigged election. And then it tells you how many times it was retweeted or favorited. Okay, now this is Trump's first tweet, 1:49 p.m., or as they do it in Europe more commonly, 13:49. He just tweeted out a link, and that is a link to his speech. So his speech at the Ellipse, which ended at 1:10 p.m. or 1:11 p.m., was recorded, and he's sending out a link to the recording of that speech. Now, this is after he's been informed that the Capitol is under attack, at least according to the January 6th report, because the January 6th report says that he was notified at 1:21, or at least by 1:21, maybe even sooner than that, but at least by 1:21, he was notified that the Capitol was under attack. So his first tweet is not about that. It's a link to his speech. Okay. And then his next tweet, which according to the January 6th report occurred at the height of the at the height of the violence on the Capitol. This is his next tweet at 2:24 p.m. He says, Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which they were asked to previously certify. USA demands the truth. And that it shows up as zero retweets and zero favorites, but that's only because this tweet had to be deleted later because of Twitter's rules. Um, so, and for that reason, there's that's why it shows up as zero. But it was at least, I guess, someone could at least screenshot it so they could record what was said. Um, so this is over an hour after his speech ended, and over an hour after he was allegedly informed that the Capitol was under attack. Uh, so this doesn't look like he's exactly trying to reduce tensions. This is more inflaming the situation. Um, okay, and that's at the height of the attack, according to the January 6th report. So it doesn't seem like this is someone who's trying to calm the situation down. But um, my understanding, based on reading part of the January 6th report, is that people were trying to get him to calm things down behind the scenes, and it took them a while to persuade him to say something. And then finally, at 2:38, that's his next tweet, he says, "Please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful." Okay. Now, that wasn't the end of the violence at the Capitol. I think it went on for a while after that, so it wasn't enough. So maybe that's why he puts out another tweet at 3:13. That's his next one. And he says, I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. No violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. Okay. Now, I don't think that was enough either, because I think the violence continued until, at least until he put out his next tweet at 4:17 p.m. Now you'll see this is another link. It's another link to a video. So what this is his video that was recorded in the Rose Garden. So I guess that's somewhere on or near the grounds of the White House. There is what's called the Rose Garden, and he recorded a short video, just I think a minute or two. And in that, he finally asked the protesters to go home. That was the first time he told them to go home. So that was over 3 hours after his speech ended, and almost 3 hours after he was allegedly informed that the Capitol was under attack. Maybe I can bring that up. His what he says in his Rose Garden speech. Let's see if there's a link to that. Hold on just a second. Actually, let me stop the screen share for a minute while I pull that up. Still getting the hang of this screen sharing and making sure that only the things that I want to display um, appear on the live stream. So I guess after I do this a few times, I'll be more smooth with it and I can do it more quickly. So thanks for bearing with me. Um, all right, I think I found what I wanted to find. Okay, I can restart the screen share. All right, so here are his videotaped remarks during the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. This is the same website, the American Presidency Project from University of California, Santa Barbara. So he records this speech in the Rose Garden at 4:17 p.m., about 3 hours after he was informed that that the Capitol was under attack. He says, quote, "I know your pain. I know your hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people and law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us, from me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel, but go home and go at peace." Uh, Now that video looks like it's been removed from YouTube, but I was able to find a video later of it. Maybe that would be good to play at some point. But anyways, there you see, that's the first time where he instructs the protesters to go home. So circling back to what started this all off, I had mentioned there was this post on HBL, Harry Benswanger's list, that made a claim that it wasn't actually true, that Trump waited hours later to instruct the protesters to stop the violence and go home. So what I found is that it's maybe you could say half true. So there's two parts of the claim. One, when did he say stop the violence? Two, when did he say go home? He said stop the violence or stay peaceful for the first time at 2:38. This one, stay peaceful. That was at 2:38. About an hour, a bit more than an hour after he was informed the Capitol was under attack. And then he says a bit later, remain peaceful, no violence. But that wasn't enough. So then he hasn't said go home yet. But then finally, about 3 hours later, he puts out the link to the video at the Rose Garden that says he finally tells the protesters to go home. So it did take hours, I think you could say, for him to tell them to go home, but it did not take hours, if that means at least 2 hours, for him to say stay peaceful or don't use violence. Uh, Now he also said, I think there's a line in the speech itself that he gave at the ellipse where he says to protest or march peacefully and patriotically, something like that. So it was even in the speech itself, he had that at least that one line, but he also said things like fight like hell and um, we have to take our country back. I think things like that, and the election was stolen, which you might think kind of undermines his message to stay peaceful. Because if you really think that this is an illegitimate election, then what are people to do at that point? Um, maybe maybe he's trying to plant the seed in their minds without saying it himself that the right thing to do in that case is to riot and use violence, even though he explicitly later warns against that. You might think that there's some kind of mixed messaging going on in leaving some things to implication because it would just be too inflammatory to say them explicitly. Um, but given the way he acted during the whole day and the length of time it took him to tell them to go home, and the fact that it took people, I think, quite a bit of talking to him in order to finally get him to say some things to quell the protest. I think it's quite plausible his sympathies were with the rioters. And then, of course, we know later he pardoned all of them. Um, I also, I think if you haven't read the January 6th report, you might find it very interesting. I certainly did. I haven't read the whole thing, but I read chapter 7, which is titled, uh, what was the title? Oh, 187 minutes of dereliction. And I guess the 187 minutes comes from, I guess, the fact that the speech ended at the ellipse at 110, according to the report. Although I later found out it looks like it might actually have been 111 because I looked at the timestamp on one of the live streams of his speech and it said 111 when he stopped speaking. But anyways, according to the January 6th report, it says his speech ended at 110, and then he put out his Rose Garden video telling people to go home, telling the protesters to go home at 4:17. So that was 3 hours and 7 minutes after his speech ended, or 187 minutes. So that's why the chapter is titled, I assume that's why the chapter is titled 187 Minutes of Dereliction. But I found that a very interesting chapter to read. So um, you might also find that interesting to read. All right. So there are some details about January 6th and the timeline of Trump's tweets, which I learned about and I eventually posted about on HBL in reply to the post that prompted me to research all of this. And I looked into more uh, related issues as well. But let me pause here on and go back to the chat and see what else is new coming in. All right, so let me stop this screen share now. Okay. All right, I see a bunch of chats from Ryan Lopez and one at the end, 1232 from Free 105 ROV. He says, I think Donald Trump is stupid saying that with peace and love. Okay. Uh, well, welcome to Hri 100. This is the first time I remember seeing you. I saw a comment from you on my channel asking about the time of my live stream. So I'm glad you can make it. All right, let me go back to where I left off in the chat and see what else has been said. Looks like these are all from Ryan, except for that last one, which I just read from Hri 100. All right, so at 12:14, uh, these are Pacific times. Oh, by the way, if you like the stream, I'd appreciate it if you would hit the thumbs up and give it a like. That'll help it in the algorithm. And also, if you want to help my channel grow, then you can subscribe if you're not already subscribed. So thanks to those of you who've already done that, and I'd appreciate anyone else who subscribes to my channel. Okay, so the times I see in chat here are Pacific time, and I usually copy and paste the chat into the comments after the live stream, and then these timestamps will show up, which I guess is kind of nice because then it shows up in Pacific time, so it matches up with what I'm saying. So anyone listening to this and then also watching, following along by looking at the comments in the chat will see that the timestamps match up with what I say. But I guess there's one little oddity about that. Like when you put a timestamp in the YouTube comments below a video, they function as links to the video itself. So for instance, if I put in this link to this message from Ryan, which shows up as coming in at 12:15 p.m., that'll show up as a link to 12 minutes and 15 seconds into the video. Uh, so YouTube doesn't, it just treats it as where in the video someone is trying to refer to, as opposed to the time of day that someone left the chat. So that might be a little confusing. Um, but in any case, let me look through some of these chats. So Ryan says at 12:14, okay, so optics argument. I have several quotes from US president and senators and Congress to fight historical and 7 days and like 7 days ago, he was banned from Twitter. Want a tweet, just dumb philosophy. After he was banned from Twitter. So the Trump tweets, yes, kids, it's public record. Was this Trump garblime you? I don't know what that is. All right, these reading through this is kind of disjointed. We have lots of little, like two or three or just a few words long messages, and I guess especially when I'm not reading these at the time that they come in, it's a little jarring because it's out of context. I don't know exactly what's being referred to sometime. So I guess just that's something you might want to keep in mind if you're participating in the chat. I don't always read something right when it comes in. So you might want to try to write your tweets in a way that's a little more self-contained so that when I do get to reading them, it's a little more clear what you're trying to say. I don't necessarily read all of the tweets, or sorry, all of the chat messages that come in, but typically, at least in the stream so far, I try to read, at least read most of them. I guess you're pretty new here, Ryan, so maybe you don't know how I do it. But at some point in the stream, I usually try to read all the messages that have come in the chat, and I usually do it in phases. I'll go through a few, and then maybe pause to comment on some, and then go back to the chat, read a few more, then comment more, etc. So let me just quickly look at what else. So after at 12:23, Ryan Lopez says, "Okay, was it Trump? Did he was banned from Twitter? I think. Well, he was banned from Twitter and Facebook, but I think both of those platforms eventually let him back on. I don't know when exactly. Oh, Ryan says, "Yeah, I'll take you apart for fun, retard." You calling me a retard there, Ryan? Might have to block you. I'm here to have civil discussion and debate. So if you're going to be uncivil, then you're probably going to get blocked. But let me just see what else is here. Ryan says he was banned well before January 6th. Bad argument. DR. I graduated eighth grade. What's your excuse? Okay. This is looking kind of suspicious here from Ryan, the way you're talking. Not sure you're going to last very long here, Ryan. Um, there's also let's see, there's a timeout option. So I guess that's a little less severe than a block. I can put someone in timeout so that they cannot participate in chat for, I guess there's a range of options. You can do it a few minutes or more than a few minutes. But yeah, I guess there's no one else showing up here before Ryan, so I don't know who else he could be replying to other than me when he says retard. So I guess you're calling me a retard, Ryan. So maybe I should just block you right now. And yeah, or maybe I'll give you like 1 minute to pipe up in chat and say something if you want to try to defend yourself from calling me that. Also like to screenshot things sometimes just to have a record of it. So just took a screenshot. I guess I could also, oh, yeah. Free 100 says even if he was saying that to someone else, it's still bad. Yeah. Um, okay. I wonder if it's going to delete all his messages from the chat if I block him right now. I know there's a way for people to retract their own messages. They can, and if they do that, it'll, I guess there's a spot where the message used to be that says message retracted. But if you block someone, I wonder if that's what it does, if it just converts all the messages to message retracted or doesn't even, maybe you'll have to refresh the screen, or maybe if you refresh the screen, it will just delete them entirely. So there's not even like a placeholder that says message retracted. Maybe I should just do that now. That might actually be a good experiment, just so I can figure out how this works. I've never had to block someone before during a live stream. I've certainly blocked many people when I'm not live streaming, but I don't know exactly how it works when I'm live streaming. So I think I'm going to do that. This would be a good time to test this out. I don't have moderators. That's another thing. So I guess if I had moderators in the chat, they could take care of blocking people. But for right now, at least, I'm the only moderator. And maybe it'll be like that forever, or at least for a long time. Um, so I think I'm going to block Ryan. And then if he wants to defend himself and appeal the block, he can contact me through some other channel, I guess. Um, he can email me. I have an email on my page, on my YouTube page, theselfishnessproject@gmail.com. Or I guess he could try to contact me through some other platform where I haven't blocked him, like Twitter or Facebook. Um, yeah, Hree says until you get bigger audience, you don't need moderators. Yeah, at my size, there's not a huge number of people to deal with, and it's not so. I think I can just do it myself for now. Um, all right, so yeah, if Ryan wants to appeal the block, he can contact me through another channel and try to make a case. Uh, and that's how he can, yeah, that's how he can do that, or anybody else who gets blocked. Um, all right, so let me click on these three dots by his name. Actually, maybe I should just screenshot the other comments that came in first, so I have a record of all of them. And that way, I like to be able to see, I like to have a record of everything. So let me just give me a minute while I screenshot all of these comments. Okay. There's the first screenshot. Second screenshot. Probably have to do like 5 of these to cover all the comments. And the third screenshot. And I think this will be the last one. Okay, so it only took 4 screenshots. All right, now let me block them. Or I guess it's called hide user from channel. Hide user on this channel. All right. It says this user's messages will be hidden. And now it says message deleted by Dan Norton, view deleted message. Oh, so I have an option. I don't know if it gives you an option on your end to see the deleted messages, but let me click on one of those, see what happens. Oh, okay. I see. So it just shows up in gray. I don't know if it shows up that way for you, but there's one message I just clicked on the view deleted message for 1224, and that one now reappears for me at least, but it's in gray now and in italics instead of black and non-italics. But I'd be curious to hear from someone else in the chat if you can still see Ryan's messages. Okay, Hri says, no, I don't see options for his messages. Okay, actually, I want to refresh this screen or open it in a duplicate window, and that'll give me a refreshed option. And then I can see how it shows for someone who's probably just coming to the stream now. Maybe they won't see any of his messages. It's taken a, okay, it looks like they still appear. Does it show up as, does it say message deleted by Dan Norton? Is that what it shows up as for you? Hurry, or anybody else? You want to let me know? You say you don't see options for his message, but do you at least say that see where it says message deleted? Um, you don't have to let me know, but I would be interested to hear. Um, well, that's too bad. There would have been, we could have had a discussion there, a civil, productive discussion, but when someone becomes rude, it's not worth it. At least usually. I guess maybe there's an exception if someone is like making really good points, but he sprinkles insults or ad hominems among his good points, then I guess there could be reason to keep him around if you think his messages have are particularly valuable. Um, but I guess I didn't see anything that gave me pause here that made me think, oh, I definitely want to engage with this. Um, I didn't think it was worth it, so I just deleted him or blocked him. Well, it's called hiding someone on YouTube. See, other platforms they call it blocking, like on Facebook they call it blocking, on Twitter blocking, but on YouTube it's called hiding someone from your channel. And when you do that, that person can still see your channel, like they can watch your videos, but they can't engage with you and interact with you like through by putting comments on your videos or engaging in a live chat. I think it will, if they do try to chat or put a comment on your video, it'll only show up for them, but not for anyone else. Uh, so they might actually not know that they're blocked because their comment will show up, but they won't know that no one else can see their comments unless they do something like log in from a different account and see whether they can view the comment. Well, I guess I can still see the comment even if they make it, but it'll be hidden from everyone else. Like if I go into my YouTube analytics, I can see because I have my YouTube account set up so that I screen comments before they appear publicly for anyone to view. So I have to approve a comment for publication before anyone else can see it. So I can see if a blocked person tries to submit a comment, I think. Um, Actually, I'm not sure about that. Maybe the screening only works for like maybe someone only shows up in the screening area if I haven't blocked them yet. Um, Whereas if I have blocked someone, maybe YouTube doesn't even give me an option to screen their comment. Maybe it just doesn't show up for me at all. I'm not sure. Not too important, but uh, anyways, um, that's it for Ryan, at least for now. I don't know if he'll appeal. Even if he does appeal, doesn't necessarily mean he will successfully appeal. Um, I've blocked people on Facebook before, and I used to give them a second chance sometimes, but I think in maybe every single case I tried that, like, and this might have been like 10 times where I said, hey, you need to do such and such, or else I'm going to block you. I think every single time the they said like I don't care, just go ahead and block me, or they just maybe they didn't say anything, but I don't remember anyone trying to appeal the block or take some kind of corrective action. So eventually, I stopped giving people that warning if they did something that I thought was block worthy, and I just straight away blocked them, and I just left it up to them. You know, if anyone ever had a change of mind about it, if they cared, then I left it up to them to figure out how to get unblocked. Okay, so let me see what else is in here. Let's see. It looks like, is it just HRI Hri 100? Yeah, it looks like it's just Hri so far. So now I can go through his comments. He says, I already hit the thumbs up. Thank you. Appreciate it. Uh, by the way, English is not my first language, so I'll make spelling mistakes. Okay, no problem. Even if he was saying some, oh yeah, I read that one. He says, by the way, why are you taking screenshots? I know you said you like to have a record of everything, but I mean, what do you do with that record afterwards? Asking if it's not private information, of course. I might not do anything with it, um, but maybe I will. What might I do? Well, I guess if he ever appeals, if he ever wants to appeal what he said, then I'll have a record of what he said. So if he says, "Oh, I only said this, not that. It wasn't that bad," then I can look back at what he actually said and verify it was actually said. So I guess for the purpose of appeals, at least, it might be useful to have a record of what was said. Um, there might be other reasons as well. Like maybe I want to, I don't know, maybe someone is curious. Did anyone ever call you a retard as opposed to, some other insults? I can do a search and on the number of times people called me a retard. I'm sure there's various kind of research, statistical, analytic purposes that it might be useful to have a record of exactly what was said. But typically, I don't have to go back to something I've screenshot. Um, Occasionally, I do go back, and I don't know exactly why. I might be interested to look back at a screenshot, but it's there in case I ever want to go back. So um, it's there if I need it. All right, and then let's see what else is here from Hree. He says, no, it doesn't show his messages anymore. Oh, okay. Doesn't show it at all. So it's just like you wouldn't even know he was in the chat at all. Um, and then Hree says, I don't think if anyone is being rude is worth keeping, because if someone is being rude, that means they are emotional. And if they are emotional, they won't make much sense because as emotion goes up, logic goes down. Yeah. Um, I'm sympathetic to that comment. I think blocking I really like that feature. It's a good feature to have. It's a way of weeding out low quality comments and being able to have a higher quality discussion. So not only for myself, but for other people. Like I don't want other people to have to waste their time dealing with low quality comments. I'd rather have a higher standard of discussion. And blocking is helpful for that. Which is why, like, sometimes I went on someone else's stream, maybe most famously on Sam Cedar's Majority Report show. I used to participate in his chat room very early on when I started watching his show a little bit. I was in the chat room on his channel on YouTube, and I blocked some of the other chatters who I thought were being rude and obnoxious. And then his moderators told me I have to unblock them, and that if I didn't unblock them, I would be blocked myself. and I refused to unblock them. And then I eventually got timed out. Although what the moderator said was he's going to block me for 3 days. Maybe he was just bluffing, and that was just a harsher penalty than what he was actually going to do, which I think he actually just timed me out for 5 minutes or something. I don't remember exactly. Although I didn't know that. I thought he put on some like blocked me for 3 days. And then because that happened, I called into Sam Cedar's show. That was actually the topic of my very first call to the Majority Report. Um, I asked Sam about his chat room policy, and you can watch that on my channel. It's I've got a playlist with all of my calls to the Majority Report, which is maybe what I'm most well known for on YouTube. It's the I think those are the videos I've been on YouTube that have been watched more than any others because Sam Cedar has a large platform. He's got over 1 million subscribers. When I first called, I think now it's like 1.7 million something. Um, so a lot of people have seen those calls, and they're also on my channel, so you can watch them there. Um, all right, and then let's see what else is here. Uh, H3 says, oh, um, many times he's been called that retard, but he blocks them online, and in real life he just ignores them. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good policy. Why spend your time dealing with people like that? Um, I think it's not worth it. They're not worth it. They need to, I guess, yeah, it's giving them a kind of sanction that I don't think they deserve. And then Haris says, I don't watch large audience live streams because the chat is so fast I can't read all of them. Yeah, that can be a problem. There is a way to slow down the chat. There's a setting that I have to um, allow. I think it's called slow chat mode or something, and that means I think someone has to wait at least 60 seconds before they can do their next chat message. Maybe there's other options like they have to wait a certain number of minutes. I'm not sure. I haven't tried that, but maybe I'll once my chat gets more busy, I will have occasion to use that feature. It can be kind of disorienting though. If you scroll up a little bit during the chat though, I think that's a way to kind of pause the chat in a certain spot. So it stops streaming the new chat messages. And I've used that sometimes. All right. Well, I've been here for a little over an hour now, and I usually stream for at least hour and a half. Usually it's somewhere from hour and a half to 2 hours. Um, and maybe I'll do that today. I'm not sure yet, but um, I, I'm still going to be on for, yeah, I think I'll probably go for that range today, at least an hour and a half. And depending on the kind of engagement I get, that'll help determine how long the stream goes. Oh, Leighton Prion is back in the chat. Hi, Leighton Prion. You say, I'm about to go to Papa John's and get some chicken wings. Why do they call them buffalo wings anyway? Good question. I don't know. Is it because of the sauce? Like, is there a certain seasoning they put on it, like buffalo seasoning or buffalo sauce? Uh, and I don't know if the sauce or the seasoning has anything to do with buffaloes actually, or what. I don't know, but I'm sure if I Google it, or if you Google it, you can find some kind of answer. Ghosty is here. Hi, Ghosty. All right, getting some more people engaged in the chat. Nice to see. Welcome to you, Ghosty and Leighton Prion. Uh, let's see. Hree says most people don't activate that option because if people chat more, the algorithm is promoting the streams with most comments. More comments equals more pushing of your live stream. That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think of that. But yeah, that's I can see how people or why people would do that. Uh, and then I might actually this might end up in the title, this issue of blocking, um, because I've been talking about it for a while, um, and just like general how I manage the my comment policy or my chat policy. Maybe I'll put something about that in the title. Okay. So Ghosty says, "Good evening, Dan. I've been thinking about about the popularity of Pope Francis's funeral. It gets more attention than anything. What are your thoughts on the social functioning of the popularity around it?" I haven't paid attention to that. I've seen it mentioned a few times, but I haven't really looked into it at all. I don't have a sense of how much it's dominating the news. Um, you say it gets more attention than anything. Maybe that's partly determined by your the way you engage with certain posts on social media. Like if you just see a post about it, but you just scroll by it and you don't click on it or spend much time looking at it, that might tell the algorithm not to send you more related posts. Now, in my case, I don't think I've engaged with, I don't remember engaging with any posts like that. I've scrolled by them and I haven't seen much since then. So maybe I've 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 trained the algorithms to not send me much content related to that. Then you ask, what are your thoughts on the social functioning of the popularity around it? Well, as I mentioned, I don't have a good sense of how popular it is, but I guess it's typically when a figure like that dies, there's it goes on for a while. Um, some world famous figure, um, like when was it Pope John Paul II? I think he died in was it 2005? I think that went on for a long time. I don't know if it was like a couple weeks or maybe longer, but it seemed like that got a lot of coverage. I guess it could be partly a function of how long someone was famous. Like, were they Pope for just 3 months or were they Pope for 10 years, 20 years? And also, what did they do during their tenure as Pope? Did they do some very important things or was their tenure as their period and as a Pope not too interesting? So I guess it can vary from case to case. You say, Shree says the main religion of my country is not even Catholic, is Orthodox. And half of the news here are about the Pope this week. It's absurd in my opinion. Okay. You're Orthodox, so maybe I guess that means Orthodox Christian. So maybe, so what are the main countries for that? Russia or maybe Greece, at least relatively speaking. Um, Eastern Orthodox, I think it's sometimes called. You don't have to tell me, but just making a guess. So I don't really have many thoughts on your question, Agosti, about thoughts on social functioning and the popularity. Maybe if I think about it more, I will have more to say. Oh, you say you're from Bulgaria and you're not religious. Okay. I think you're the first Bulgarian that I remember um, on my chat. So welcome. Maybe the first from the Eastern Mediterranean area. I've never been to Bulgaria, but I'd like to see that place someday. That'd be interesting. That's right by the Black Sea, right? South of Romania, I think. I guess the closest I've been to that is Istanbul. I went to Istanbul in Turkey for a few days back in 2005. Actually, that was the same trip that went to Italy and Greece on. I spent a few days in each of those countries, and I talked about my travels a little bit in a previous live stream. And actually, speaking of the Pope, I saw the Pope when I went to Italy on that trip in 2005. Actually, Italy was the first leg of that trip. I think I was in Rome for about a week. And in 2005, this was actually at the time that they were having the ceremony, the funeral ceremonies for the Pope who just died, John Paul II. So the next Pope, I don't remember his name, the one who came after John Paul, he was giving a Sunday sermon, I guess. I don't know if it was related to John Paul, but it was in, I guess, I don't know if it was Latin or Italian, neither of which I understand. But I saw the Pope giving his Sunday sermon in St. Peter's Square in front of the St. Peter's Cathedral, uh, which I guess is where I think some of the popes at least are buried there. There's a crypt underground, and you can go in there. And I went in there at some points during my visits and saw some of the burial places. I was very far from the new pope, so there was a huge crowd in St. Peter's Square when he was giving his sermon there or his speech, and I don't know how far I was from him, but I was at the outskirts of the crowd, maybe like 300 yards or whatever the size of St. Peter's Square is. Well, it's not really a square. I think it's more of a circle. I think I was at the edge of the circle. Um, but I could see him. He was just like a uh, little white dot um, from where I was standing. But it was so that was the trip when I was in Italy in Rome for about a week. Then I went to Greece and then I went to Istanbul for a few days, and that's the closest I've been to Bulgaria. Um, I'm looking at it on a map now just to get a sense of perspective. Um, I had an idea actually for if any of you want to call in, I could interview you. So I was thinking maybe some of my viewers who participate in the chat, I don't know if you have any interest in this, but if you want to, I can it could just be like a get to know you chat. I don't know if interview is the right word for it, but I thought maybe some people didn't want to feel like they had the burden of calling in and carrying a conversation. So to relieve you of that burden, if you think that like you would have to have some agenda if you or some definite thing you want to talk about in order to come on here, you don't. It could be more informal than that, and I could sort of have the burden of uh, making the conversation go. So I could just ask you questions. They could just be get to know you questions. And maybe that would be a way of getting more people to call in. Like if you don't think that you have to have some definite question or agenda in mind, um, maybe you'd be more likely to come on if you knew that you didn't have to have the burden of carrying the conversation. If you could just kind of sit back, relax, and answer any questions or make any comments, anything that you feel comfortable answering. You don't have to, you're not required to answer anything. Um, but I could be the one driving the conversation and asking the questions, and you could just say whatever you're comfortable with. Um, and you could be anonymous too. You don't have to show your face. You could do it without video, so people only hear your voice. And you could use a screen name. You don't have to use your actual name. So I guess the only thing that would not be anonymous is your voice. But if you're okay with that, then feel free to come on and we could have a conversation. Hari says, I have broken English, plus I want to be anonymous, meaning not show my face. Okay, yeah. So that's what led me to say what I just said, because I saw that comment. So yeah, broken English is okay. Hari, you ask about that. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. And I guess you could do both. You could chat if something is unclear in speech. Maybe I could ask you sometimes, like I can ask someone to spell something because the way it sounds, I can't make it out. But if they spell it, then I can understand what they're trying to say. And you can also type it in the chat at the same time if that might make something easier to understand. Um, so it's okay with me. So you can come on if you want. And as I mentioned, you can either call in on the by clicking the link, which I pinned. I think I pinned. Um, oh, did I not? I forget to pin it. Looks like I forgot to pin it. Okay, well, I just pinned it. Or you can call in by phone. I gave a phone number, 669-444-9171. And I guess before that, if you're calling from out of country, you have to put in a 1 for the country code. And then there's a meeting ID after you enter that phone number that I just read out. There's a meeting ID, which uh, you need to enter when prompted. I put this in the chat, so you should be able to see it there. But for anyone who's just listening, I'll read it out again. It's 835-441-30096, followed by the pound sign. And then I think you'll be prompted to put in pound again. And when you're prompted to do that, just hit the pound again. And then I think that'll get you into the waiting room on Zoom. And then I'll see that and let you in. Um, it's if you could also let me know in chat if you want to come in, that would be helpful because I'm not always looking at Zoom. I'm usually looking at the YouTube chat. So if you tell me in the YouTube chat you want to come on, then that'll uh, catch my eye sooner. Okay, you say you'll try to come on free. You say meaning make an account because I think I need an account to join the call. I don't think you need a Zoom account, actually. I think there might be like just a web version you could use of Zoom where it just takes you to a Zoom page. I don't know exactly how it works, but I don't think you need a Zoom account to make a call into someone else who's hosting a Zoom meeting. Uh, But uh, you say after around 5 minutes? Okay, that's fine. I'll be on for at least 5 minutes more. I'll stick around for a bit to see if you can get on. Um, or you can dial the phone number. That's another way, which you definitely should not need a Zoom account for. Um, let's see, I think there was at least one other comment from someone else that came in. Uh, oh, a ghosty says some additional context. It may be that it dominates the news more in Europe. That's the Pope's death. He continues, but Trump and Zelensky also used the occasion to meet and discuss politics. Okay, yeah, I did see something about that. I just saw a headline. I didn't look into it. Um, all right, so right now it looks like Hree might be trying to create an account on Zoom, even though I don't think he needs to call in. But I want to stick around for at least a few minutes more to see if he tries to call in. And if I don't catch him this time, maybe another time. But while I am, oh, I see it shows on my phone. We got 7 people here now. Nice. If anyone else wants to say hello, that would be cool. You just you can drop a hi in the chat. Um, if you like to stream, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Just want to say some of these things periodically because new people they come in. So I like to do my little channel advertising from time to time. If you like the stream, I'd appreciate a like or subscribe if you want to help the channel grow. That's definitely appreciated. All right, I need to give my take a sip of water, give my voice a little break here. That's another reason it could be good to have someone call in, then I don't have to be talking consistently for as long, give my voice a rest. But usually it's not a problem to go for like at least half hour and a half or a couple hours. All right, so let's see. Oh, Ghosty just said in the chat, by the way, I don't think Trump and Zelensky are dictators. My previous comment was not very good in that sense. So fixing it in this way. Um, oh, Hari asks, do I need to install the app to join, by the way? No, I don't think you do. Just try clicking on the link. Did you try that? I don't know if you're listening on a phone or a laptop or what, but if you just go to that link that I pinned at the top and click on that, I think that should connect you to my Zoom call. Okay. So I do welcome further updates, free, as if you have any more questions about trying to get on, feel free to just put. Looked like, oh, maybe that was Zoom was just giving me a message that made me think I lost my stream. But I think maybe that was Hari trying to connect. Okay. Oh, it looks like the stream is still going. Um, all right. He says I clicked on the link after, and after that clicked on join launch meeting, but doesn't do anything. So I'm installing the app now. Oh, okay. Um, all right. I don't know if that's how other people who have called in the past have done it. Like maybe everyone who's called in the past just has happened to have the app already installed. So it was maybe it was necessary to have the app installed if you're going to click on that Zoom link as opposed to dialing in that phone number I gave. Okay, so I'm gonna wait a bit while Hurry is trying to install the app. Okay, so let's see. A ghosty had said he doesn't think Trump and Zelensky are dictators. I I would agree, not yet at least, fortunately. I mean, I think Trump has authoritarian tendencies, um, but I don't think he's got enough power now that he would qualify as a dictator. He can't just like, do whatever he wants without check. Um, I mean, if he could do that, I guess he would have been president ever since he first became president. He wouldn't have had to been uh, well, he wasn't president while Joe Biden was president, whereas if he were a dictator, I guess he could have still been in power at that time. And now he's checked at least somewhat by the judicial branch. I guess we'll see if he tries to go against their rulings. But I don't think he's at a stage yet where he would be a dictator, fortunately. And we can try to prevent that from ever happening by spreading good ideas like Ayn Rand's ideas, which is what we're doing here on this channel. Okay. All right. Um, oh, it says, Sri, it says that he has a waiting for host message, so maybe he's on now. Ah, looks like he's here. All right, let me admit him into the chat, into the Zoom call. Hello. All right, it shows up now. It's, can you hear me? All right, it shows up now. It's, can you hear me? I'm hearing myself. It shows up now. Okay, I've got a, can you hear me? Okay, I think I heard something from you, but it's maybe breaking up a bit. And I'm also don't want to hear myself. That's disorienting. Well, now I don't hear anything. I don't hear myself or you, but it does show your screen name. What's going on? Let me try to play some other video on my channel and see if I hear that, just to make sure the audio is working. Okay, I can hear at least some things on my computer,
I'm
but
here.
oh, now I hear you.
Oh,
Can you?
that's good.
Okay,
Before before you ask me anything, I just want to say I have very controversial opinions.
okay.
Yeah.
That's so you're showing up here as Christo Peterson.
Yeah, that's the Latin version of my name. My name is Christo Petrov.
Okay, so you were the one showing up as Hurry 105 ROV on the chat, right? And that was you, right?
Uh, I have a connection problems. You cut up. Didn't hear what you asked me.
Oh, you're the one in the chat who was showing up as HRI
Yeah,
105.
yeah, that's me.
Okay.
That's me.
Okay. Yeah. The one from Bulgaria, just making
Yeah,
sure.
that's me.
Okay. So, well, welcome to the call. And so you said you have controversial views.
Yeah,
Not sure what you mean by that, but anyways, I have controversial views too.
yeah.
Um,
Just wanna have a warning before you ask
well, I
what
don't
to
know
do.
if you mean like controversial views that I might not want to have aired on my channel, or do you mean something else? Do you want to say any, do you want to elaborate on what you mean by saying you have controversial
The
ideas?
I'm just gonna say the most controversial, but with one word. One of my views. I believe in eugenics.
Oh,
Yeah,
eugenics.
yeah. But not like most people think the racial thing. I'm not racist.
Okay. So, there are certain views which I probably don't want to have on my channel, and maybe eugenics is one of those. So
I don't
you
need to
said there's,
talk about that though.
okay. So I don't know exactly what you mean by that. You say you're not a racist. So,
Yeah. I just
um,
believe in people with disabilities. Sh- You know what I mean? I don't need to continue.
something about people with disabilities.
Yeah,
Maybe you don't think they should
yeah.
exist,
No,
or
no, no. I would be more careful with those words, but
all right. Well, I don't know
the,
exactly what you mean, but I'm not sure we need to go into that, or maybe we
yeah,
shouldn't
I
go into
just
that.
wanted to give a warning. That's the example for one of my most controversial opinions.
Okay. Um, well, maybe like now I will just we can go on since I don't know exactly what you mean by that, and I can just give the benefit of the doubt. Um, and we could talk
What I
about
mean with that is just I think we should be careful with our choices and make it so that the world have less suffering in it.
okay. I mean, I can imagine or speculate what implications of that you might have in mind, but I'm
By
not
the way, I have
sure.
disabilities. I think I have a better view on the topic.
Okay, you say you have disabilities. Okay. Um, well, how about for now we can just talk about other things and
Yeah, yeah, I just
maybe
wanted to give example if you want to have me on your platform or not.
okay, well, I mean for now it's okay. I guess I wouldn't have had any pause if you hadn't said something like that at the beginning, but since you did, I was a little curious to find out more, but I'm not sure it's something we need to talk about more now. So
Yeah,
how
yeah,
about
I
for
don't
now,
think
at least we can just talk about other things. And then if it seems relevant later to come back to this issue, we can.
exactly.
Okay. So Christo, is that how I should call you?
Yeah, that's
Christo?
fine.
So you're from Bulgaria. And I don't know if there was anything else in particular you wanted to discuss or
No, you just said if anyone wants to come to,
okay, yeah.
you don't need to talk, and I came.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure I understood what kind of framework you came into this conversation with in mind. So you're just replying to my request to have people call in and
Yeah,
just have a
exactly.
conversation where I would kind of carry the conversation, and that's fine. That's good. So thank you for calling in. So I guess
No
one thing
problem.
I'm curious about is how did you come across my channel, first of all?
That was a loophole. I was seeing one channel, then other, and I don't remember what was the last channel. You 2 years ago you were on some channel debating something, but I don't remember.
Okay.
That was 2 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes I do appear on other people's channels doing a debate or a discussion, and that's how people find out about me. So, okay. And another thing I'm curious about is Ayn Rand. Like, have you ever read Ayn Rand before?
Ah, the lady that is mentioned in your title.
The the what that is mentioned? Oh yeah, yeah. The one who's mentioned in my title. A Y
I
N
have
R A.
heard about her, but not don't remember anything to be honest.
Okay. Uh, so people come to my stream with all kinds of backgrounds. Some people are completely new to Ayn Rand's, and some people have been reading her for years. And I welcome all of that. So there's no requirement. I was just curious to understand your context and your background a little more. Okay, so you've heard of Ayn Rand's, I guess. Maybe do you remember what that debate was about, or who I was debating when you first saw me?
I just clicked on it and didn't watch much of it. But if you want me, I can search my history and tell you.
Okay, you don't have to do that now. It might be hard to find if it was 2 years ago, but
No,
um,
no, it
it,
was yesterday or the day before that, but the debate was 2 years ago.
oh, so you saw me in the debate a couple of years ago, but you went to my channel just a day or two ago.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Um, I wonder, like, what did something remind you of me? Because, like, if you found out about me 2 years ago, I thought, well, maybe you would click on my channel then. But did you just
No,
randomly out of the blue click on my
I
channel?
again maybe I don't speak correctly, but that exact debate happened 2 years ago. But I found that video of the debate 2 days ago.
Oh, I see, I see. So you didn't see it when it originally happened. You saw the
Yes, yes.
debate 2 years after it happened. Okay, I got you. Okay, and
Oh, here
now,
it is. The title of the debate I saw you in
yeah,
is called. Let me. It's called Debate with Dan Norton: The Shocking Truth About Slaves
the shocking truth about slaves?
and Selfishness. Slaves and Selfishness.
Huh, I don't know what that is. I have to Google that now because I guess maybe I appeared on someone else's channel.
Yeah, the channel is called Synth.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes when I go on someone else's stream, they will have a title for my that video, and I guess sometimes they can change that title later. Like I remember seeing a channel. I know what video you're talking about, but when I originally, like shortly after I appeared on his channel, um, the title of that video, I think it's something like it didn't have what you said. It was like maybe chat with a PhD in Iranian PhD, something like that. But it didn't say anything about
Mhm.
slaves. So I guess he retitled that later. And now I'm curious to see it. But I don't remember that topic coming up in that discussion. But I'm curious now to go back and see what led to that. So I'm actually gonna go see if I can find his channel. Uh, oh, selves. Gotcha. I thought you said slaves, Slaves. So this
Oh,
is where the accent comes in, where sometimes it's helpful for me to hear it spelled out. So you meant selves, Selves.
yeah,
Yeah, gotcha. Um, yeah, I do remember talking about the nature of the self with him. I think he had a kind of Buddhist view of the self, like where there is. Oh, I see. It says PhD Randian on the thumbnail for his channel. Maybe I should drop a link to this in the chat so anyone who wants to see what we're talking about can follow along better.
yeah, that's a good
I'm
idea.
hearing him in my earphones right now because it I gotta mute his that feed. Okay, I did that, and I'm about to drop a link in the chat so other people can see this. Okay, okay, that's the link to my convo with Synth. Okay, yeah, he I remember he had a Buddhist view of the self where I guess there's no, in contrast to like a more Western view of the self where individual people are distinct from each other. I have myself and you have yourself. Rather, there's like this cosmic self in which of the universe or something, and we're all merged together. So if you have to kill one individual or what we think of as an individual, it's not really violating the rights of that individual because at a deep metaphysical level, there really are no individuals. Now, and I think Synth is a kind of socialist, or he leans in that direction. And I think this view of the self is, I guess, maybe part of what underlies his commitment to socialism, or that something in that ballpark. Now, I don't. Maybe he wouldn't say what I just said, like it's justified to kill an individual if it benefits the whole. Or maybe he would. I think maybe he's a utilitarian of some sort.
By the way, I am utilitarian.
Oh, you are? Okay. Well, maybe that's why you were watching his channel, because if you like that view. Do you know if he's a utilitarian?
Yeah, he was the. That's why how I found about him. He was debating utilitarianism with some other Irish channel. I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay. I see. All right. This is all starting to come together. Yeah, so I don't know what he would say to that example, like if it's justified to kill an individual if it benefits the whole. But I guess that's what one would be committed to if one is a utilitarian. I don't know if you want to say what you think about that, but that would,
Like the classic trolley
yeah, the
question.
trolley kind of case.
Yeah, I think to summarize my views is the needs of the many overweight the needs of the few, if you know what I mean.
Oh, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Yes.
Okay. So that's that's very different from Ayn Rand's view. She's an egoist. She would say the paramount consideration, and I promote Ayn Rand's philosophy. I guess you're new to my channel, so um, just letting you know a little about Ayn Rand's philosophy. She's in favor of egoism, which means what's good for you to do is the paramount consideration, or what's good for you to do is what benefits yourself the most, not what benefits somebody else or what maximizes or what allegedly maximizes benefits for humanity in general, or if you want to broaden it to include all sentient organisms, which maybe some utilitarians do, or maybe people in the future. Um, Rather, on Ayn Rand's view, what matters the most is yourself. And if something is detrimental to yourself, then you shouldn't do it. If it's better to do something else, if it's better for yourself to do something else, then you should do that. instead. Um,
I
so
mean,
yeah, go ahead.
you don't need to, how to explain it? Of course, when you can help more people than you, I would do it. But to do that, you first have to help yourself to help others. You know what I mean?
Maybe like I agree. You can't help others unless you help yourself first, because you first have
Yes.
to exist. But there is a question as to what is the reason for helping yourself. Should the only reason for helping yourself be so that you can help others, or is helping yourself an end in itself? Like, is that the ultimate goal? And everything else should be subordinated to that rather than that being subordinated to something else. And on Ayn Rand's view, the reason to benefit yourself is there's nothing beyond that. Like that's an end. You are an end in yourself. You live for your own sake, for your own happiness. You don't exist for the sake of something beyond yourself. It's just to make your own life the best it can be. Now, that can include helping others. Like it could be in your own interest to help others, but the reason to help others is not as an end in itself. It's not that the ultimate purpose of your life is to help others. It's because doing that might somehow benefit your own life.
That reminds me of Nietzsche.
Ah, yeah, he is another egoist. Although um, I think he has a different type of egoism, uh, which I've talked a little about in previous live streams, but I can say a bit more about it. Um, However, let me ask you something. I don't know how much time you want to stick around, but I'm actually getting hungry right now, and I think I need to take a few minutes break.
No
But
problem.
if you want to stick around, we can talk about this some more. Um,
And again, I'm not a professional. I'm not PhD. I'm just
no, that's okay. That's fine. I'm here to engage with anyone, and I have lots of conversations with people on my channel who are not professional philosophers. They're just sometimes it's just people I find on the street, random people, and I have conversations with them. So I'm happy to have a conversation. Um, do you want to stick around for a little bit and talk about this some more?
yeah. I will just by the way, how do you exit this app? I use it for first time.
Oh, I think you might see a button that's, are you on your phone or a laptop?
Laptop.
Okay, for me on my laptop, if I look in the, if I hover my mouse around the screen somewhere, then at the bottom right, there's a button that says end, and that will let you in the call. Do you see something like that?
Oh, I see. Leave.
Oh yeah, leave. I guess it's a little
Yeah.
different for
Okay.
maybe.
So I will leave, and when you're done, I will go again.
Well, actually, it might be smoother if you just stay on, and I can just mute myself. I can turn off my mic and my camera, and you can also turn off your microphone, and then I can just come back in a few minutes, and I'll unmute myself and turn my video back on, and you can turn your mic back on, and then we can just continue.
Okay, I will just mute mic.
Okay. So, then I'm going to take a few minutes, maybe, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes, a little break here. So for anyone listening, I'm not going to end the stream. I'm just going to take a short break, and then I will be back and continue the conversation with Christo. All right. Thanks for being here, and
No
I'll see
problem.
you in a bit. Okay. I am back with Christo.
Welcome back.
Hi, thank you. All right, so I was thinking maybe we could continue talking about utilitarianism, or if you think of a different topic that you want to go talk about more, that's okay.
No, it's
Um,
fine.
utilitarianism. So, when did you first become interested in utilitarianism?
I don't remember. Five,
All right,
6 years ago. And I'm not really interested. I'm how to explain it. I just resonate with that.
you
With
resonate with it. Okay.
yeah.
Have you read certain authors like John Stuart Mill or somebody who you resonate with
I'm
about
gonna sound very
utilitarianism?
dumb, but I don't read a lot because that's one of my disabilities. I have problem with my eyes.
Oh, okay.
So
You
yeah,
listen to things more.
yeah.
So is there anything in particular? I'm just wondering like what your sources are. Like what did you come across? Did you listen to something that you found persuasive about utilitarianism?
Like I said, I just have little bits of information here and there. I agree with
Oh, okay.
many philosophers, but I don't find any philosopher that I completely agree with, which kind of sucks.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Uh,
To describe myself with four words, can I do that?
sure.
The first I already tell it in the beginning. The second one is I'm
Wait, could you?
agnostic.
Oh, what was the first one? Say it again, please.
I said it in the beginning. Do I
Oh,
repeat it again?
the eugenics thing. Okay.
Yeah. Also, I am agnostic,
Okay.
determinist,
Okay.
determinist, and realist.
Realists.
Yeah, and not pragmatic realist.
Okay. I'm just taking some notes here on my screen so I can remember. Okay. So those are your four four main things that describe
Yeah,
your view, your philosophy, or your view of the world.
exactly.
Okay. I guess we could talk about some of those. And I don't know if you were raised religiously, but that's something I'm curious about.
No,
No,
no one
okay.
in my family was religious. But by the way, I was baptized when I was a baby. I don't know why. My parents weren't even religious, but they baptized me for some reason.
Hmm. Okay. And you're in Bulgaria. I guess were you the one who said Orthodox is the main religion
Yes,
over there?
yes,
Okay. Um, but I know that was a communist country for a while at least, right?
yes. Before I was
Yeah.
born.
Okay. Yeah, during the days of the Soviet Union, I guess Bulgaria was part of the Eastern Bloc, and I guess I don't know like what kinds of restrictions, if any, there were on
Yeah,
freedom of
religion was
religion.
prohibited back
Oh,
then.
yeah, okay. So it was actually prohibited. Interesting. Uh, okay, then I guess it's not surprising that you were not raised religious. And
By the way, are you religious?
no, uh,
Okay.
I'm not a. So if being religious means you believe in a God, no, I am not. I don't believe in the supernatural. I have a secular worldview.
That's nice to
There,
hear.
there's no afterlife, like a heaven or a hell, that kind of thing. Uh, Um, there's just this world. which we can perceive with our senses and understand with our reason, but no supernatural realm or being. Uh, so that's part of my view, part of Ayn Rand's view. She's an atheist. You mentioned you're an agnostic.
Yeah.
I considered myself an agnostic uh, for about a year, maybe year or two. I think when I was in high school, I was starting to think about the issue of whether God exists. And I I didn't know if there was a way to prove God existed or did not exist. So I thought, well, maybe I should just be an agnostic then and call myself that. But then I later encountered Ayn Rand's philosophy, and that persuaded me that atheism was the right view. Um, and I've talked about this on my channel and some of my other videos, but that's where I am right now in terms of
I mean, for me, the concept of God and the concept of Big Bang theory is equally ridiculous for me.
mm, God
Yeah.
and the Big Bang Theory. I don't really have a view on the Big Bang Theory, the idea that the universe started as this very small, very condensed um, piece of matter, and then it exploded in the Big Bang, and then that gave rise to all the matter in the universe. I think that's a scientific question. Like, what was the universe like if you go back in time? It's not really a philosophical issue, except I think to say that the universe is eternal. Um, I think some people the way they interpret the Big Bang is as the beginning of the universe, but I don't think the universe had a beginning. I think it just always
Me too.
existed.
I believe in how it's called in English, eternal reoccurrence or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's I've heard of that idea. Like the everything that happens, like this conversation we're having right now, it will happen again in the future, and it's happened again. It's happened previously.
Yeah, but with little differences, you know.
Oh, with differences. Okay. I'm not sure I've heard that variation on it, or I also don't know where I heard about that. But yeah, I have heard of an idea like that. So, yeah, that's a little about my metaphysical views, my views of the world, and Ayn Rand's. Um, you say you're also a determinist. That's so that would be a point where we differ. I think free will is real, and we can make choices. There's not just one path into the future.
I mean, you distinguish determinism and fatalism, right? Because determinism leaves a little bit of choice. Or I believe we have around 1%, 2% of free will, but that's minimal.
Hmm. Okay.
Fatalism is when you don't believe any free will exists. Determinism leave a little bit of free will. Determinists believe free will exists, but it's minimal.
Hmm. Well, maybe there are different types of determinism. The type that I'm most familiar with it holds that there's no room for choice or free will at
Mm,
all, at least if free will is understood and to mean that you have multiple options or there are multiple paths into the future. Now, many philosophers called compatibilists, they think that, or they say that free will and determinism are compatible. I don't think that's a coherent view. On my view, if you accept determinism, then you have to reject free will.
no, I
Um,
think fatalism is what you speak of.
well, there is a view. I don't know if fatalism is the name of it, but there is a view I've heard where like there's some ultimate thing that's destined to happen, like no matter what you choose. but there are different paths to getting to that. Like for instance, let's say someone is going to get hit by a truck. That's a pretty unhappy example, but let's say in 10 years someone is fated to get hit by a truck. Now, it doesn't mean that everything before that is set in stone. Like maybe they could go on a vacation to Hawaii, or they could go on a vacation to Alaska, and they can make choices about other things. But no matter what route they take, it's ultimately going to lead them to this tragic event 10 years from now where they get hit by a truck. I don't know if that's called fatalism, but I've heard that view. I think it might have been called fatalism by someone, but anyways, um, I don't know if that's maybe that's different than what you have in mind by the term fatalism.
For me, it's very simple. Free will, determinism, and fatalism. Fatalism is no free will. Determinism is you have very little free will in your life.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um, I wonder
that's
where you
how I
got that
distinguish
idea
between
from.
them.
Like, is that based on something you heard or you listened to from?
I've read about it.
Oh, you've
Yeah,
read about that?
yeah.
Do you recall who the author or what philosopher it was that
Oh
said
no,
that?
I told you I don't read much philosophy. I was just clicking around forums and stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, it looks like you might have different influences then. As I mentioned, the way I've heard the word determinism used, it's I think typically maybe exclusively. I can't think of an exception off the top of my head. It's always been used to mean there's no options at all. But I guess your sources have presented it differently.
Yeah, different words have different meanings for some people. Unfortunately, that's why the Socratic method is very good.
I am curious to hear a little more about the realism. Maybe this will be the last thing, and then we can end on this. So you said you're a realist, but could you say a little more about what you mean by that?
How to explain it? I'm, I believe the most, how to explain it, I don't know. The most important thing in life is truth, you know, truth, facts, truth. I will never, I will never lie like pragmatism just for something to happen.
Okay. So tr I certainly agree. Truth is very important. Um, I think that's the if you don't know the truth, then you will be deceived or deluded, or I guess you could just be mistaken. Um, but I do think it's important to be trying to reach the truth. I guess pragmatism, there's an idea that the truth is what works, as opposed to what's called the correspondence theory of
I don't
reality.
stand for that.
Sorry, of truth. Um, I guess that notion of some idea in your mind corresponding to some fact of the world. Um, like if there is that correspondence, that's not the essence of what it means for for an idea to be true. Rather, for the pragmatists, um, for something to be true is for it to quote work. Now, exactly how you unpack that, like what does it mean for something to work? I'm not sure I can say much about that. I haven't studied the pragmatists much, but
Yeah,
I think their theory is of truth is does stand in contrast to the correspondence theory of truth, which I guess is a more traditional view of truth. Um, so there's a little about realism versus pragmatism. Uh, okay, so I see we're coming up on I guess it's when did I start this? At noon, I think. So it's about over 2 hours now. So I think this is a pretty good time to wrap up the live
okay.
stream.
It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, good talking with you. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate your engagement and feel free to come back anytime. Well,
No problem.
as I mentioned, I'm here Wednesdays and Saturdays, usually around this time. So, yeah, thanks again.
No problem. Have a nice night.
Okay, you too. Bye bye. All right. Well, that was good to have a call. So it's been a few streams. I think it was maybe the last, I don't know, was it 4 streams ago that I had the last call? I think for at least 3 streams. I haven't had any calls. I've just been engaging with the chat. But maybe what I did today is a way of it's going to help in the future to get more people to call in. So I said there's not like a burden of you don't have to have some topic on your mind that you're burning to discuss and you have to carry the conversation. Feel like you have to have some agenda coming in. I can carry the conversation. I can just ask you questions like I was just doing. It can be a little interview where I just get to know you. So maybe if you maybe realizing that will make the idea of calling in more welcoming to people. You can let me know what you think, but uh, I'm glad it worked this time. So I will plan to do another stream on Wednesday. And if you subscribe and click the bell for notifications, you can be notified of the exact time that I go live. And before I leave, please, if you like the stream, give it a like and subscribe if you want to help the channel grow. And I think that's about it for now. So thanks again to everyone for coming by and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And hopefully I will see you in a future live stream. Bye.